And for today, our speakers are Nikit Chaudhary from Computer Science and Engineering third year, and Abhishek Orao from from Information Technology third year, and they both will be introducing JavaScript. So last day, like we had our session till covering the basics of HTML and CSS, and today Nikit and Abhishek will take over and they'll introduce you guys to JavaScript, and I think it will be pretty fun. So Nikit and Abhishek, take over.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So today we are going to discuss on JavaScript. Let me share my screen. Is it visible? Hello, is it visible screen?
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let me open the PPT. So today we are going to discuss on JavaScript. This is a second day of Web Dev Bootcamp. Uh, Coming to the part which I'm going to discuss is the introduction to JavaScript and how does it works and the integration of JavaScript to the page of to HTML page. And after that we will be discussing with the basics of JavaScript. And after my part ends, then Abhishek will take over and he will be discussing the HTML DOM, document object model, and how to manipulate it. And at the end, we will be discussing the codes of to do app. Now, in the initial discussion, we came to know about the HTML CSS, right? What HTML does it basically provides the basic structure of a web page. Building upon it, styling is done by the CSS. But uh, coming to the that what is used in the market, it is the tailwind CSS, which is lighter than CSS, and it's being implemented on a regular basis in the new market. Now, coming to what JavaScript is, right? It basically provides the basic behavior and functionalities web page. For example, if you are pressing a button or we are scrolling anything and something appears on the screen, or dynamically something new appears on the screen, right? Suppose we are clicking on an image and it shifts us to the next page. It is the basic implementation of JavaScript. Just a minute. Now coming to the next, what is JavaScript? JavaScript is a language that enables you to create dynamic updating content, right? Which I discussed earlier, that whenever you are example, we are making an app which is a kind of stopwatch kind of thing, right? In that we are updating values, right? This can be used this use case can be implemented by using JavaScript. Again, on control multi we can control multi images and many more. Control multimedia, what does we are making a example, we are making a music player, right? We have play pause button, the next song or the previous song button, we can control it. The basic functionalities will be added in the backend by not backend to be specific, but the basic functionalities to those web page will be added by JavaScript. Now, why JavaScript is that popular? It is very popular because the way it is used means it is very easy to use language, and it has a very good integration with HTML and CSS. And initially we know that basic the JavaScript is basically known as the primarily language of the browser, because each and every browser has its own JavaScript engine. For example, coming to a trivia, that Google Chrome has its own JavaScript engine called V8, and Microsoft Edge has its own JavaScript engine called Chakra. Now, Firefox is using SpiderMonkey as its engine, and Safari is using JavaScript Core as its JavaScript engine. Now we do have a question in our mind that why we are using JavaScript. Coming to that, if we only have a structure or a styling to a page, it's not that good thing, means it will not provide that good user interface, and it will be less interaction with the user and the web page, right? To resolve this, we use JavaScript, which provides functionalities, behavior, and whatever we want to discuss. Means in sense, if you want to show something, means on a dynamic basis, something is changing on clicking a button, something changes on the screen, or clicking on a button, the color of the button changes, or the file is been submitted or the value has been retrieved. It all are being done by JavaScript implementation. And in the web development sector, why JavaScript? Because JavaScript also provides us a very popular framework of JavaScript, which is known as React, which is a very important tool in the case of front end development. Coming to the mobile development, it provides there is a framework of React Native, which is very popular in case of Android development, which is also provided by JavaScript. Now we can also use this JavaScript in server application and game development. So these all are the use cases or the applications of JavaScript. So it's worthy enough to be a JavaScript expert. Now coming to the next section, that how does a JavaScript engines recognize a JavaScript file and breaks it down to the machine level code and understand what is to be implemented, right? Whenever we that JavaScript engine gets a JavaScript file, initially it passes through a parser. The main work of the parser is to identify the syntactic error line by line, because that JavaScript is a interpretive scripting language, right? when Whenever there is an error, it throws an error and shows error on the screen of the user. Else it makes a data structure which is called abstract syntax tree. It will be like this. You can see abstract syntax tree. It means here on the left part you can see a function foo x. If x greater than 10, var a. Don't get bother about this var function thing, it will be discussed on the next part. This is basically a function, right? And there the engine converts this function into a abstract syntax tree, which is shown on the screen. For example, if there is a function, right, function foo, and you can see on the tree that function literal foo is there. After that it will show that what is the work of it, right? It will have a if conditions, and after that when the if block finishes, it x plus 10. So it has two conditions, if conditions and return statement, right? In that if statement we have var and return statement. So we can see that in that particular thing there is a conditional check for x is greater than 10 and the block, right? Now again in the block section we have variable declaration, assignment, and return. This is how after the error detection the AST is formed. And when the AST is completely formed, that basically that when this data structure is completely formed, it then passed to the machine level. It is converted to the machine code, which is a byte code, because machine doesn't understand these JavaScript or anything else. It only understand the byte codes. Whenever this code is formed, it gets the idea what is to be implemented, and this is how a JavaScript file is converted to a machine level file and implemented. And this is how a JavaScript engine identifies what is to be implemented. Now coming to the basics of JavaScript, means in HTML file, see, there are two ways to implement JavaScript on an HTML file. Either you can use this script tags and write the whole JavaScript file inside the HTML page. For example, let me show it this way. There is a VS Code, right? In this HTML file, I can use this in the head section or in the body section. I can use this as example. Here I will create script tag and write the JavaScript file over here, right? Any JavaScript file I can write over here. But if you have a very means complex project, right, then it is very hard to debug this kind of conditions when your HTML file and JavaScript file are together in the same page. It will be it will be giving you a very hard time to debug it. So better not to use this. Else what we can do is to separate these HTML and JavaScript file. How it will be done? We can simply use this. Means again I'm writing this again. Just a minute. We can use this script tag after before body script src, which is used for giving links, right? In the HTML section you have already used the img src tag. So like that only we will giving the page name. Here I have a page of JavaScript, right? Here you can see the name is script.js. So script.js, and now I'll close the tag. It will be integrated with the HTML page. I'll save it, and you can see that my JavaScript file is being integrated with my HTML file. So whenever I will run this, it will show this. Just a minute, and let me run this. Run that debugging. What happened? Okay, now it's okay. Just a minute, there is some issues, I guess.
All right. Meanwhile,
Am I
anybody?
audible?
Yes, yes, yes. You are audible.
Just a minute, let me fix it and again come.
Yeah, sure, sure. So in the meanwhile, the material which was discussed, like, does anybody have any doubts regarding that? If you have, then please feel free to type or speak, and that way we'll be able to resolve them.
One question I had, like, do we really need to install Chocolatey for that Node.js?
No, we don't need to. Actually, the like when we have our session, like I think it's on day 4, right? The node
Yes.
installation. Yeah, so before that, we'll provide you with resources that guide you through the installation of Node.js, and we do not need Chocolatey for that. You can directly visit Node, like the website, through the npm package, through the like just through Google, and download the latest version. I think it's 18 point something.
Yes, yes. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. Any other questions regarding like JavaScript and how does it work and what's an abstract syntax tree and whatever? Okay, no questions as of yet. So should I ask questions now because nobody has any questions?
The issue has been resolved. I can start.
All right. Wait.
Okay, actually that
Can we connect JavaScript to Python? I mean, connect how? Because when if you're building a web server in Python and you're using React for front end, you are connecting JavaScript to Python, but you are not directly connecting. Like define. Alapan, just open your mic and say that what exactly how do you want to connect connection to? All right, sure. That's also possible. All right, then Niket, continue.
Okay. Now, as we have shown that we can use this way, we can use the external implementation for JavaScript, right? So now what we can see is basically just rerun it. Just a minute, it's already been used. Here it is. This will appear, and if we want to see the code of JavaScript, we can just right click on it and do inspect, and you can see that the thing, and the console will be there, the sources will be there. In the sources we can get the files, whatever present in it. So coming to the console, on the next section after integration is variables. Now this is a very important section where we have three kinds of variable declaration in JavaScript. It's basically var, let, and const. Initially, first we discuss that what is a variable. Variable is basically a container for storing data, right? Suppose we are storing a numeric data or a string data or boolean data, we need a container to store it. So in JavaScript, we have three different ways to do it: var, let, and const. Before ES6, we generally used ES6 is basically the mm, is basically the newer version of JavaScript on which the modern JavaScript has been built. So before it, we used to use that var, and after that, the best implementation is using the const and let, preferably const, so that the on a global scope the variable will not get changed. After that, the let, cause means we will be discussing means why it is important to discuss about the const, let, and var, cause there is a concept of hoisting, and after that the concept of changing the variable in the scope. And for that, let's open VS Code and discuss it. I have a few example to save times. In case one, what we can see is, see this section of the code. Just look at it. This section of the code. Languages, what we see is that whenever whenever give we assign a variable a value, right? A is equal to 10. We cannot again assign that variable same value. It will give an error. But in JavaScript, whenever we use the var as var identifier, then it will just again the same issue. Just a minute. Just a minute, bro. Again, it's happened.
All right, so Alapan, could you please explain your question a bit more in detail?
Yes, like I'm making a clone of IRCTC website. So, for example, I'm filling the form, and the JavaScript is doing it's putting the all the entries in my in my CSV file. And now what I want to display is like the trains coming from section station A to station B, which is done through the Python. So in that case, we may connect the Python to the JavaScript. So can we do that, or we can just implement JavaScript only?
So, okay, so there are two, three things here. First of all, that are your these are two modules, right? One module is doing the analytics part, one module is doing the front end essentially, that is
Yes.
collecting the data.
Hmm.
So whenever you are having a structure like this, it is important to make an application programming interface or an API. So the best approach is to expose the trends, like all the functionality of the trends, through JavaScript using an API that you build in Python. Okay. And if you are saying that are JavaScript and Python like interchangeable, can you use Python code in JavaScript? Then the answer is no. And for most programming languages don't work like that. I think only Kotlin and Java are like that. So if there's a Java file, you can write Kotlin inside that and it still works. If it's a Kotlin file, you
Oh,
can write Java inside that and it still works. But for other languages, that's not the case. So you have to make
okay,
like
okay,
a
okay.
layer in between that
Hmm.
helps two modules to talk to each other if they're built in different languages.
Acha, acha. Okay, okay,
All right.
okay. Yes.
Alternatively, what you can do is you can store the trends data into a separate CSV file and then display that using JavaScript. That's also possible.
Haha. Yeah, yeah. Right.
Anybody else has any doubts?
Niket, you can just implement those like variables and stuff in the web console only. It will not be an issue if possible.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that because there I think the debugger was on and now it's not.
I think some people can't access the chat box as well.
No issues. I will use these cases. And,
Uh, Alapon, could you look into that?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm looking into it.
yeah, we can continue.
All right, then. Let's continue.
So let's do it on the engine itself. Here we can go to the that inspect section. What I earlier told in inspect we will get source and where here we can get the page to resolve, means whatever code we will write and it will be just compile and return it value on the console. So here coming to the var section, what we will get is in other programming languages, right? If we declare a value for a particular variable, it will not allow us to change the value again assigning the same memory space and same name to the same variable. We can only update it, right? But in JavaScript, what we see here is there is no error. Whenever we are running it, it doesn't show any error. You can see in the console. Again, it's okay. Okay, I've opened the wrong page, right? Okay, here it is. Here we can see that we are getting undefined. Whenever we are pasting this, see this means the two var section. Just look at this code. Here we have var a and var a is equal to 10 and var a is equal to 20. What we see is the same variable is having the two different inputs, but what we are getting, the result is undefined. This is something due to the hoisting effect. The hoisting in JavaScript. In hoisting, what it is done is basically before the variable is assigned, a memory is being allocated to a variable, and that's why it's means storing undefined, means it's saying undefined, that is, it is nothing out there, but the memory has been allocated to this system. Now coming to the case 2, but what we observe is no error is shown here. Now coming to case 2, we can see that, see this, we have var and let. In these two component, here, just see this line. Here we are seeing the cross, means there is an issue with this line, cause uncaught syntax error is identified because identifier b has already been declared. The let variable don't allow you to use the same name to assign two different values. We can only update those values. And what is the big difference between the var and the let is, the let is a block scope variable. We will discuss it in case 3. The where the let is a block scope variable, whereas the var is a globally scoped variable. Right. Now, what here in this example, we can see that earlier what the system didn't give any error to us, whereas whenever we are using let instead of var for the same issue, for the same test case, it's giving an error. So we cannot use let to declare the same variable twice with different values. Now commenting this, coming to the scope of the variable, in case 3 what I discussed earlier, that var is a globally scoped variable, whereas let is a block scope variable. We can see here that var is equal to 10 and let is equal to, let b is equal to 20 are two variables which has been declared, and there is a block of code in which we have written let b is equal to 4. Here the most important thing is to look at line number 11 and line number 13. The main thing is here b is been allocated 20 and again here b is been allocated 4. And here the console log in the in JavaScript, like in C, we use printf to display the strings on the screen, while in Java we use system.out.println. Same as that, in JavaScript we use console.log. In this we can see that we have used let b is equal to 4 and used console log in the block and one console log out of the block. So let's run this code and see those two values. Only focus on these two values. See this, these two lines 4 and 20 means initially this console log is printing the value for 4. Because why it is printing 4? Because let is a block scope variable. In this block of code from line 12 to 15 there is b, and which has been assigned a value of 4. So the console log will only accept the value 4 for the b, not the value 20, because it's out of the scope. Whereas whenever we discuss, means whenever we declare console log outside the block of code, it will take the initial value which is 20 given here, right? 20. That's why we got 4 and 20 as an output. Now coming to the fourth case for this let var and const. In this we can see for variable, means for variable var, as discussed in let, the variable was see this is better to let this, there is a variable var a is equal to 10, let b is equal to 20. Now in this block of code we declared a variable var a is equal to 9 and console log a, means here it is already declared var a is equal to 10 and again we are declaring where a is equal to 9 and console log a, and again console log a. What means result we are expecting, that if it was let, then the value would have been 9 over here and the value would have been 10 over here. But let's see what happens. The value are both 9 and 9. See this, both 9 and 9. Why? This is also giving me 9 and this is also giving me 9, because the var is the globally scoped variable, not the block scope variable. These are the main difference between var, let and const. Const is something which is not changed throughout the code. If you want to use a predefined case, in case of it means it's not getting changed throughout the code, we will use const. In general practice, we try to use const as much as possible, else we will use let, and we will try to use var as less as possible, or we will try using it with very delicacy. Now coming to the next section, is it data types. Data types, as you all know, that is a classification of a specific type of data. Means whether the value is string, that is, see the example over here, string. For the string values, let me full screen it. We can see the string. The data type can be string, number, boolean, undefined, or object. Object is basically a key value pair in JavaScript, and undefined when it is uninitialized, right? I've already discussed, whenever you are using to access the var, it's already due to hosting providing us the value as undefined before it was initialized to any particular number. And in case of boolean, we will use true and false cases. In number, we can use any numbers, like example 45 and minus 20 12. In strings, we will use a character of the number of means the string is basically an array of characters. So these all are the data types in it. And how to check what data type is of means what data type is there for any number, we can use the type of operator. For example, you have been assigned a particular, means you can say you have a particular value and you don't know whether it is a number and string or a boolean data type or anything else. We will use just a type of operator to know whether it is string, boolean, undefined, or object. It's basically same as in C. It's also used as type of, the type of operator is there in Java also, there is a type of operator, so it's the same. Now again coming to the next section, after type of operator is the loops in Java. Loops in JavaScript. Now there are three kinds of loops. One is for loop, while loop, and do while loop. There is an example of for loop which I have written. Let me copy paste it. Control C. Control V. Here we can see for loop is basically used whenever we are trying to generate multiple lines of, means suppose we want to write hello 5 times, right? We are not going to write console log hello, console log hello, console log hello. It will be a very tedious job to do, right? So what makes our work easy is to implement that using a loop which will run as many as time what we want. For example, we are using for loop, and here we are this is a syntax for the for loop. You can clearly see this. It's a syntax for I is equal to 0, I less than 5, means I less than 5 is basically conditions. Here it is initialization block, here it is the condition block, and here it is the iteration, means how much, how means is it in increasing order or is it in decreasing order, I plus plus or I minus minus. So means what this code is doing is basically printing hello 5 times, printing hello 5 times. So we can just see it by implementing this. See, in screen it's saying means showing that hello is being implemented 5. That's why it's written here 5. Suppose if you want to print it 10 times, we will write 10 and just enter. We can see here that it's writing it 10 times. This is for loop. Now coming to do while loop. Just a minute, let me come. In case of do while loop, what we see is basically this condition will execute for the first time. Doesn't matter this condition until this condition is satisfied or not. Just a minute, guys. See this. Here is a empty string. We are taking an empty string. This is a syntax for empty string. We are not assigning any particular string over here, and taking a variable I as initialized 0. Now what we are doing is just appending those string, right? After that we are printing that on the screen and again increasing its value. This is basically increasing the values after every iteration. What this line of code does is appending appending the values with as a string. This is the initialization. This is initialization, and this is a conditional statement. Conditional statement. Now let us run this code and we will see the output. See, this is 0 0 1 0 1 2 0 1 2 3. Why it is happening so? Because in the first iteration it is taking 0 as an output, then text is equal to text means I is equal to 0, text plus 0 means 0 plus 0. That's why it was showing initially 0. Now console log text means it will display 0 and iterate 1 over it, right? Whenever it takes 1 due to this, and after that it will check either 1 is less than 5 or not. If it is less than 5, it will again just go through this loop again and again check for the condition. Either now after that first iteration it will be like text is equal to 0 plus 1. This is appending. Basically two strings are getting appended, getting merged together, right? So it will become 0 1. Now it will check. Now it will get to this condition where it is increased to 2, and it will check that 2 is less than 5 or not. If it is less than 5, it will again just come over it and again loop it again, right? So this is what do while loop does. It will at least run one time before checking the condition, because the conditional statement is here and the do statement will execute before at least once. Now coming to while statement. While statement is nothing but while I less than 2, console dot log hello I plus plus. So basically let's run this and check. It's showing undefined. No, it will show. Okay, I haven't declared it right. Let I equals 0. Now see, the hello is being printed twice. Why? Because here the conditional statement is true. Yeah, yeah. Anyone wants to say something? What?
Please continue. I guess
Okay,
that was some error.
okay,
Someone mistakenly mic turned their mic on.
okay. Okay. Here in here we declared means declared and initialize this variable, and we started a loop. What this loop says that if I is less than 2, we will enter into the loop again and do this function, means print this hello, and just increment this variable by 1, right? So at the first time when I was 0, means it will check 0 is less than 2 or not. It is true, so it will print hello once. It will get incremented to 1, and it will check 1 is less than 2 or not. Again it's true, so it will print hello again. So therefore it is showing 2, means hello is being printed twice. So this is what loop does in JavaScript. Now coming to the next section, which is uh, yeah, I'm done with it. Well, my section is end, so I will hand it over to Abhishek for the DOM, and he will continue the next. So
Uh,
Abhishek, you can take over.
yeah, am I audible?
Let me turn it off.
Thank you, Niyat. Hello, everyone. My name is Abhishek, and I will be talking about DOM, Document Object Model, and basics have been covered by Nikit, and I hope everyone understood what JavaScript and why JavaScript basically is used in HTML, in web. So let me share my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. So until now, we have learned how to make a static website and talked about HTML and CSS. And now we will learn how to make a website much more interactive. Like for example, if a user clicks on a button, want that button to eventually interact on click and should show or change some kind of content or to make it interactive. Uh, like for example, you go on YouTube and search for a song, right? So you search for a song and you click the search button, and on click it will show you some results. So that is how YouTube interact with you, and which makes YouTube much more interactive. So this is what we will basically focusing on. So manually these interactions and site can't be built. So like for example, we can't sit for the user to click on a button, then we can change the content of the HTML CSS. So that is not possible to do at the runtime. So we need a basically like a technology, like for example DOM. So what DOM basically does, it categorizes the element into individual objects, and we can basically select and manipulate those objects accordingly, so that we can eventually interact with the user. So I will be focusing on DOM and how to basically select those objects and manipulate those objects. So this is a basically simple code, a quick HTML code, where there is a head, and inside head there is a title of my website, and body there is a button, alert button. So we can visualize this HTML in this blue figure. So there is a big slab of HTML, and inside that HTML there are two subblocks. These two subblocks are head and body, and inside head there is a title, and in body there is a button. So what DOM does, DOM basically converts these turns this into elements and their associated data into objects. What I mean that now the task of converting this HTML into the file, like into the DOM file, is done by the browser you're using. And what it does, it turns up the elements and associated data into a T structure like here. So there is a document and the document has a child. In the entire HTML is included in the document. So then document, then HTML, then HTML has these two childs called head and body. And these head and body are the siblings. And head is descendant of HTML and HTML is the descendant of document. So this is how the tree basically looks. Uh, a simple tree of a HTML web page, which only has a title of my website and a button of alert. And this conversion from like HTML file into a DOM is done by the browser or the web application you are basically using. And in the object, like for example, we can take an object of button, right? So it has two things, a property and a method. So property basically describes something about the object. So it could be the color of the object, the font size of the object, some style properties of the object. So those stuffs. And method are the things that objects can do. Like for example, if I click on that button, what will basically change or what will basically happen? So that eventually decides, method basically decides it. And let us take an example of this car. So let us consider this car as an object. So this car has a property of color. It could have number of seats, number of doors, and and have a methods like brakes, drive, and park. So if I want to use a method called brake, so if a car is moving, I like called the method brake, so it will eventually brake. And if I call the method drive, it will start driving. So same way, if I want to change the color or if I want to access the color of the object car, then I will write the property color, and eventually I will get, or eventually I will initiate the object of the basically the color of the object. So using JavaScript, we can basically manipulate these objects, and it's all done using a dot notation. I will be talking about those dot notations in the examples. And uh, we have taken the example of the car object, right? So as I was talking about the getter or the get property, so if I am like trying to get the color of the car, so I will write the object name, that is car. I will use a dot notation dot and the color, and it will give me a like answer, or it will give me a like result of green, because in the above example the property of the car color was green. And the same way, this is known as the get property. And in the same way, you can also initialize the values, like for example car dot notation, the number of doors, and we have initialized to 0. So what will happen is basically all the doors will get deleted and the car will have no doors. And in the same way, we can also like refer to call method on an object like car dot drive, and this method will eventually drive the car. So I will be like talking about how to manipulate or select the objects. Like for this website or page, for example. So if I want to like select this H1, sorry, sorry. So if I want to select this H1, I need to first understand where it is being nested. So I will write document, and inside document I can see the HTML file. So I can see that the H1 is being inside the body tag. So I need to basically target the H1. So I will write document, I will give a dot notation, and uh, like a query, I will use a query selector, and I will select the H1 tag. In the query selector, you can take the like tag name or the class name or the ID name, any one of those, and you can eventually target those objects to manipulate it. So I will manipulate the each one, and I will change the inner HTML to something like for example, Abhishek, like uh, cool man, something like this. It will eventually change the H1 to Abhishek Coolman or something. And now if I want to change the style or something, the property, if I need to change the color property, so same way I will do query selector. I will select the H1. I will basically target the style property, color to somewhat red, and it will turn up to red. Now we can use different selectors, such as this one was query selector, right? So we can also use the get element by tag, get element by like class name, get element by IDs. We can use those. So let me open this web page in a VS file. I need to see what IDs I have selected. So in input, there is an ID called KL. In list item, there is a class called CH. So I will try to target those and try to manipulate it. So if I want to basically uh, click this checkbox, right? So I want to do using JavaScript. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the document and use uh, like get element by tag name, get element by tag name, and I'm going to give the tag name as input. And so these get elements, there is a plural, right? Yes. So it will return me a list of arrays. So I need to initialize that array, or like initialize the or select the index name of the array to 0. And I need to add a method called click. I think it will work. Yeah. So now this has been selected or it has been clicked. So this is how you can basically add a method and select the object or manipulate an object. And now, for example, if I want to change this tea or change this milk into something else, I need to manipulate this unordered list and change one of the list item into something else. So let me target that. Uh, Let me take the document, and I need to manipulate it using class name. I will do it using class name. So in the above example, I've used using the tag name, but this one, let's try using the class name, element by class name. So again, it will return me a array because it is in plural. So only the IDs can be a single element because the IDs are unique. So I will be also be talking about the IDs part, and I need the list item. I need the first list item, and I need to change it to something is not. Why it's showing undefined? It's a correction, right? Okay. So style. So it is showing undefined. So I need to use something else, like there's a class name of ch, right? Oh, why I'm using li? li is the tag name, right? I need to use the class name, that is ch, and an array. And now I will use the property of color. No, I will change the inner HTML. So I need to change it to milk, right? I need to change it to like rice. So now this one got changed because we were like targeting this rice. So basically the class name, that is ch, the second one, the t, sorry, I was talking about the t. So the t has a class called ch, and I was targeting the class name that was ch, and I initialized to the zero index and changed the inner HTML to rice. Now that t got converted into rice, or got changed into rice. So if I need to change the color, so simply I need to basically select the color property, tag name li, and the array index needs to be 0. For example, if I need to change the color property of milk, so style, and the color, let's change to green. Now the milk has changed to green, this way. So we can also do using the IDs. So let us manipulate using the ID. So I think there is an ID, yeah, this one. So let me give a ID now. So ID in jail, we save, load it. So now same thing, document dot get element by ID, get element by ID. So there is no plural in these elements, as because IDs are unique. So I need to select the ID. What was the ID name? I think it was jail. Yeah, jail. So JL, and I need to like change or manipulate it. So I will basically change the inner HTML. Inner HTML. I think I can't add the ID up here. I need to add a ID in this button only. Let me do it, because it's not taking the ID, right? So let me take the ID in the button, something like DJK, to save it. So document dot get element by ID, and I need to select the ID, that was DJ, something DJ, right? DJK. Again, it's not showing. I think let me. Yeah, in the same way, we can do this. So let's just take the input only. So input ID was KL, right? So let us take the KL only. So KL dot, if I need to change the uh, like the click property, take a click. So it will eventually turn this into a checkbox. So this is how you can manipulate and select the IDs. So I don't know why the ID was not initializing up here. It was not showing me. So yeah. So now, as I was talking about the To Do app, we will like basically try to build a functional To Do app where we can like select, or you can like add the list of tasks you want to add. So it will be basically like this. I have designed the HTML and the CSS part, so I will only write the JavaScript part. So let me show you. So this was the basic structure of the To Do app. Here the user can add stuff like wake up, at 5, something like that. And if you press this button, it will add a list up here. So we will write a we will try to develop this using JavaScript, and I will write a JavaScript right now. So it will be a hands-on project, and you will understand how basically these JavaScript are getting used on a uh, basically a to-do application. So let me write a function first. Function. And give me a function name to something called new element. And uh, I need a variable to store a value like li, just take li. And I need to like create an element. So I need to create the list items that needs to be added by the user. So I need to basically document. So I need to basically create a list element, document dot create list, create element, right? Create element, and the element needs to be li. And again, we need to store the like input values the user will be typing. So input value, and need to target those input values using document dot get element by id, because I think I have given a ID name to the input. Yes, my input. I have given the ID name as my input, so I need to like target that ID name. So my input, and I need the value. So I will write a method value, and again I need a variable t, which will basically create a like text node. Document dot text node, and I need to create a text node of input values. So this one, the user will be like inserting the values, right? So I need to get that value and create a text node, and then I need to append that with the list items. So I will append child, the t, that is the text node, to the list item. And I have to also look if the user is like like typing it or not, like leaving it a blank space or just adding it to give a if statement. In that if statement, I have to see the input value is filled or not. So input value, if input value is blank, then I need to raise an alert. So there needs to be alert where uh, I would so you must write something. Else um else just like add the else just add the append child or the list item to the list section or the unordered list section which I have made in this HTML file. So let me first explain what I have added in the HTML file. So first there is a head tag, sorry, h1 tag inside a div which I have given a name head, a class name as head, and there is another div in which there is a input and a button. So in input, user can type anything, and in the button, there is a on-click method. So basically, I will be adding a function to it, and there is a type of submit. There is another div which will have the tasks or the list of tasks that user need to add, and the idea of the unordered list is my ul or my unordered lists. So in the else part, I have to add it to the unordered list. So document dot get element by id. I need to target the my ul id and append the child li. When the child li, and then I need to basically also look at the if user is typing something, then it needs to add, and after that it will leave a blank space up here, like space to again add something new. So document dot get element by id again. I will target the my input id, my input, sorry, my input, and the values to null or to something blank. If I save it and like add our first element milk, see the list is being added, or the items in the list is added. So now if I write something like oil, this way you can create a to-do application, and you can just keep on like adding anything. So I hope you like this session. This was all from my side. So Prutoy, are you there?
Actually, he had some work. So if anyone has any doubt, you can ask now.
Yeah.
Feel free to ask, or you can write in the chat box too. Okay, I guess there is no questions.
So thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed today's session. So that's all from our side. So today basically Nikit has introduced you with the JavaScript and all the and stuff, the variables, const, let, those stuffs, and why JavaScript is being basically used in the web part. And I have tried to basically explain you what DOM is and how can we manipulate using the DOM and by using. So I think in the next session, what are the things, Alvon?
Uh, for the next session, we may have the we must check the schedule. Wait a second. And also, for the next assignment, could you please elaborate on that, like what we have to do on the next
Yeah,
assignment?
sure. No, we will basically post it on the group. So it
Okay.
is related to the to do app part. So it's not even decided yet. So we will like discuss on it and let you know, guys. So yeah. So from my side, I'm done. I hope you have a great night.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining. We'll share the assignment, the next assignment in the group. So we'll end the recording here.
Yes, yes.